this, not this. And you guys can. And I'll call the meeting into session. The committee will convene an executive session in the main office conference room pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46, 4 and 5 for the purpose of hearing appeal regarding student discipline and legal advice related thereto pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A8, discussion certified employee a job performance pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A1, consider and vote on a motion to adjourn and reconvene into open session. I probably shouldn't have read that part. Sorry. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We'll be back. I'll entertain a motion to move into open session.
I'll make a motion to move into open session.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? The ayes have it. We'll now call the meeting back into order, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. There were no votes taken in executive session. I'll entertain a motion to seal executive session minutes pursuant to applicable provisions of RIGL 42-46-4 and 5.
I'll make a motion to seal executive session minutes.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next item.
Hearing appeal regarding student discipline.
Good evening, members of the school committee. I'm here tonight to present the facts of an incident regarding student A and the formal appeal that has been submitted. On January 14th, 2025, East Providence High School administration received a report from the parent of student B at LaSalle Academy. The parent reported that on the evening of January 13th, 2025, student B was assaulted by student A after track practice at LaSalle. According to the parent, student A grabbed student B, pulled him to the ground, and struck him while he was on the ground. The incident was interrupted by an adult at LaSalle Academy. After that call, I contacted the athletic director at LaSalle to look into this claim. LaSalle Academy shared video evidence with East Providence High School showing student A pursuing student B in the parking lot, taking him to the ground. It was also reported student A came to LaSalle by Uber, entered property at LaSalle without permission, attempted to gain access to locked doors of the facility. Next, I met with student A along with assistant principal, assistant athletic director, Mr. Cabral, to discuss the incident. Student A did admit to going to LaSalle to confront student B. Following that meeting, in accordance with our athletic code of conduct, student A was removed from the cheerleading team indefinitely, pending a further review by the athletic director, Mr. Butler, and myself. Additionally, LaSalle said Providence Police Department was called and simple assault charges were filed against student A. The case had been assigned to Providence Police case number by student B. Additionally, it was reported that student A did not attend cheerleading practice on January 13th, which was the day of the incident. On January 17th, myself and Mr. Butler spoke with student A and her parent to let her know, based on the severity of her actions, that the student would be removed from the cheerleading team for the season. We explained that we take these situations very seriously and remain committed to upholding the safety and integrity of East Providence School, community, and expectations we set forth to all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Alex Butler, Athletic Director. Following up with Mr. Black's statement, the situation was put forth towards our code of conduct. The code of conduct which student A had signed off on along with their parent twice this school year alone, one for the fall season and then also for the winter season. And this is the acceptance of the code of conduct. It is a privilege to be an EPHS Townie athlete. Conduct becoming of an East Providence High School athlete will be in place for athletes during the entire academic year. A Townie athlete represents his or her school at all times and will conduct him or herself in a manner that is befitting this honor. I have read all the requirements in this athletic handbook, agreed to abide by, and will conduct myself accordingly. I want to be a part of the East Providence High School athletics program. This is required for all athletes who register each season to participate in athletics at East Providence High School. It is an electronic acknowledgement, which you all have in your packet with a timestamp for the fall as well as the winter. The situation that Mr. Black and I reviewed is taken seriously. I have meetings every season with our athletes to discuss the importance and understanding that they represent our school, our family, everywhere that they go in the community. I get calls, I get emails constantly from folks who see someone with a Townie whatever team sweatshirt, good, bad, or indifferent. In most cases, it is good. But in some cases, we have negative situations that we do have to address. And everything that we do is done consistently and fairly. And I believe that that was done in this case.
Good evening. After the decision was given by Mr. Butler and Mr. Black, we received an email from student A's mom requesting an appeal at the superintendent's level. I heard that appeal on January 30th. After weighing all the facts and given the due process for the student, it appeared as though Mr. Butler and Mr. Black adhered to the policy, and as such, the remainder of the season's suspension only was upheld for the student.
So I have a question. Are we into the next season? In other words, as the season that the suspension was in effect for, is that passed now? Or are we still into that? Are we still in
The
this?
winter season has concluded. Spring season began on the 17th of March. of which student A was eligible to participate.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
Just a question, how many students violated the policy? Maybe not at this level.
I dealt with a situation that I brought to Mr. Black 2 weeks prior to this, a similar nature. That student was removed for the season. That student is also now presently active in the spring. The fairness and consistency matches across the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Good evening. I am very aware that the season is done, so not that this is pointless. I just wanted to make sure that maybe this didn't happen in the future. I just think that they should check in a little bit. I didn't want no punishment. I agree, she was wrong. She should have never went in an Uber, went up there. But this was ongoing for a while, and even after the situation happened, it was still ongoing. I have text messages here, pictures. He made fake, student B made fake accounts to try to get a hold of student A. Family members made accounts and had messaged student A from student B's family members with threatening her. I ended up going to the police department in Providence to see the whole thing because the mom of student B was not present, and basically she made the whole report. So there's messages here saying that he had nothing to do with it, his mom did it all, which I don't think was really right because she wasn't at the situation. She didn't see what was going on. I did talk to, I forgot, is it the dean, I think it is at LaSalle. He sent me emails, which I did forward to you guys, saying that he wishes that that student A could remain back on the cheerleading team and that everything would go well because things didn't work out with the other student, and he no longer goes to LaSalle. He actually now comes here. And basically, I just think they should look. Sometimes things aren't just, oh, she jumped in an Uber and went and assaulted this guy. It was ongoing harassment constantly. The parent and I have had a couple of things. I was trying to keep him away from my house, a bunch of things, and I think the mother herself was just out to get my daughter, and this was her way of doing it. Until this day, thank God, with him being here, everything is okay so far so good. But nothing came about the police report. The police, I think they might have just kept it on file because the mom had to report something, but nothing came of it. I've never been contacted from a police officer, never. When I went there, they couldn't even find the guy who took the report. The mother had said that she was going to put restraining orders on my daughter. Nothing ever happened. So basically, I think the mom was all talk, like she's been for the last year, harassing us, and then nothing ever came of it. The last message she said was that her student B would never go to a school that student A went to. Because he applied at 2 other schools and they didn't take him for having a weapon at LaSalle, he ended up here. Like I said, so far, no problem, so that's fine. I just think that the school should have looked into a little bit more if it wasn't just she jumped in a car and went and started trouble. It was an ongoing situation, and everything that the other parent said was not true, and nothing came of it. I've never even heard from a Providence cop till this day. So Kelsey student A has always, she's been a cheerleader since she was 5 years old. She lives for it. And I know it really doesn't have too much to do with it, but then again, grades, that girl, she would come to school throwing up because she couldn't get on social probation. She wouldn't be able to cheer. You know, she has put nothing but effort in, posters for the seniors, parties what they all do. And for her and she loves the competition cheer. She lives for that. Now we're working on grades because I feel that she feels she kind of gave up. Like, I have nothing. You still need a career and whatever you need to go to school. But her grades, if you looked at them, they all went lower. She used to have all A's. Now she's got some C's. She's working constantly to bring things up. And then I just feel like it takes, when some kids, that's what gets them up in the morning to go to school, is their what they do at school and what they're involved in and what they're this. And right now, this season, she was just like, "Yeah, I don't even care if I go. I get up, I go to school, I come home." For something that I wouldn't want her to feel like that when she literally lived for cheer. And I don't want to say nothing should have been done, but something should have been done, obviously. Don't go unnoticed. But something a little less than the whole season. That's pretty much. And then this is just the papers that I have already showed them, the emails and the messages. And this was all after the incident. He was still trying to get a hold of her and pretty much blame everything on his mom. When she did go there, he was instigating, in my opinion, he was instigating. He sent her, he had another female, video chat her of the two of them doing whatever in a car on LaSalle property, and then sent his location. In other words, here I am, come and get us, or whatever. When I did talk to the dean at LaSalle, I asked him, I said, the mom said that she was bringing in all the doors, trying to get in and everything. I didn't see any of that on the video. And he said, no, she didn't do that. What happened was, after they got in their altercation, he ran back in the school, and I guess there was something going on in the school, so the dean was there. He went outside, sat with my daughter until her ride came, but that's how it got broken up, kind of, was he got up, student B got up and ran back into the school. So she wasn't trying to break in any doors, she wasn't whatever, and I have all the emails that I did forward that's from the dean saying all that. So I think with everything being in one consideration, that it should have been a little bit less. Like I said, it's not gonna help now because the season's over, but at least it was heard, and maybe in the future, some other kid could benefit if they look into it a little more to see everybody's situation is different. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, does anyone on the committee have any questions?
She plans on it, yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Is this it? Andrew, does that conclude the presentations? Right. Okay. Thank you. Next item.
Policy Committee report. Naloxone policy, first read.
Does anyone have any questions on this policy?
I just want to confirm that the only change is the other district personnel. So we take, if, not just the nurse, but now anybody. Is that what we're going with?
There was also one other change. There was a medication removed from that chart on the bottom that's no longer used. If you see Section 4, Item B, there was one other.
The nasal one?
Yes, that was removed by so the district nurse,
Right.
the district head nurse revives this policy.
Yep.
It's just slight changes to be in compliance with the law.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions with regards to this policy? Hearing none.
Sorry, but just a question, like, what was the reasoning for making this change? Was this part of a change in the Rhode Island general law?
We needed to remove one of the medications that was no longer authorized to treat, and we added in district personnel. That was it. Just two small changes made by the district head nurse to be in compliance with procedures and medically appropriate treatment.
Medication that was removed was Teleflex.
Next item.
Automated external defibrillator, AED, policy, first read.
Again, changes were made by our district head nurse based on updates.
Does anyone have any questions with regards to this policy?
Yeah, the page 3, the AED maintenance checklist is referred to in the policy. Is that a new checklist, or is that one that we currently have in use?
Do you have the old policy in front of you?
And if it is one that we currently have in use, is that being properly utilized?
So we have the AEDs maintained as appropriate as the law. We have a company that comes in to maintain the AEDs. I know she changed one of the forms slightly. I don't know if that was it. I'd have to pull that other form up. I think it's pretty much a standard form just to do a monthly check of the AEDs.
Next up, anti-bullying policy, first read. I just wanted to add that, this policy is comprehensive, well-structured, has clear definitions, reporting procedures, consequences, and prevention measures.
Yeah, we've spent multiple sessions working on this policy, not one that was taken lightly.
So this policy is not highlighted with changes on it. Do you think you can maybe go over a couple of the changes that were implemented, both added and taken out?
From the previous policy, you mean?
Correct.
I have the old one with me, if you want.
I don't have the old one with me.
The drop boxes located in each school. Are there drop boxes in each school?
Not yet.
Okay. Where, I guess, when we know where they're gonna go and where they're located in each school, if we could know and let other people know. So that one's new, Ryan. The other part that's new,
What page is that on?
they're not numbered. 1, 2, 3, 5 at the bottom. We already have the anonymous bullying online on the page, so that is there.
We expanded on some of the definitions of bullying from the prior policy. Yeah, we, Yep.
Just to expand on that, it's robust, it covers all the different various forms, including digital harassment, impersonation, and threats.
So I'm actually caught it. So it's section 7, item 4, anonymous reporting. I'm sorry if I didn't hear, Ms. Bouchane's question about that, but I'm curious about where would the drop boxes be located, and who would be responsible for monitoring them?
so they'd be placed where the principal thinks it's appropriate, and they would assign someone, most likely themselves, or depending on where it is, to check the box daily. We do have some things like, I know one of the schools, if they want an appointment with the social worker, there's a box where they can drop like a form in, so it would be along those same lines. We also do have the anonymous bullying tip line on the district website that they can use, and we do, on occasion, receive information on that site.
Does anyone else have any questions regarding this policy?
I have one, Dave.
By all means.
Sandy, just a question. So with the Dropbox and anonymity, the principal is aware of every situation?
If there's bullying and it's put in the box,
Yes.
yes.
Like, even if it's social, and it was at, say,
Yes.
at the end of the day, or once, however they worked that, the principal has the final say and see of, whatever the bullying situation is?
Has the final say. It would be reported to the principal. They might not be the one investigating it, depending on, the school. It might be an assistant principal or a dean that's doing the investigation, but the principal should always receive the information at the end of the day. And if we get a report, whether it's from a parent or student, we always offer the bullying forms, and we did update those a little bit so they're easier to read and cleaner. We also updated the flow chart so that, it was a little easier to follow if there is or isn't bullying.
And those investigations have to happen within 5 days, so it's going to happen in a timely manner.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Jess.
I know that it says the consequences of remedial actions, including but not limited to, and it has them. In our old policy, I don't know if we could put back into this policy. I think parent and guardian notification needs to be in there. I also believe police contact needs to be in there if necessary, and school-provided transportation if necessary. That was in the old one. I just think that I know it says but not limited to, but we already put 5 down, so I'm thinking maybe we could add those back.
What was that last one again, Jess?
School-provided transportation was taken out. Parent guardian notification.
That's right above in the section under
Yes, I see it now,
investigation
as I said that, yep.
procedures.
I mean, I know that, loss of privileges means sports, graduation could be affected, the musical, stuff like that, but.
Transportation.
Yeah, transportation. I just think
Yep.
it's more of a smack in the face if people see exactly what they will lose.
So you said school transportation, parent notification is up top, and then what was the?
Police contact.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding this policy?
I have another one. Is there any way, Sandy, that we could have, like, in the weekly glance, an update on how many bullying situations we have per week? Just so this, if we can get that to the whole committee, just so we have an idea, are any of these programs working, not working, are we staying dormant? And we need to see the numbers to say that we are, addressing some of these issues.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tony, so in the policy, you wanted to state that the school committee will receive a weekly update in terms of bullying, right?
I just want that on public record.
Right, what I'm asking is, you want that incorporated into the policy as well?
If we want to put it in there, yes, I have, she's going to give us stuff on, on a weekly in a glance, so if you put it in there, I would say, make a motion to put it in there then. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Building access policy, second read.
There were changes made to this policy based on Jessica's recommendations. So if anybody has any questions.
I would like to have a background, so as I was reading this more and more, I got a little more confused. And not only that, what's happening in our district right now for people visiting our schools, parents, guardians, whomever. I think that we should have a building access policy for school committee members, if that's so what we want. And I feel like we need a building access policy for the general public that has a definition and a purpose and steps for bad behavior. A lot of our staff is being just treated very, very poorly by people coming into our schools. And I really think that a building access policy with a scope, a purpose, definitions of disruptive behavior. I sent something to the superintendent because of some incidences that just happened recently, and it needs to stop. And if you are a parent coming into a school, and most likely you're going to get the administrative assistant immediately in your face, and they're just being screamed at, they're being told what to do, it becomes a very uncomfortable situation, or they're also calling and then coming on school property and staying on school property when they shouldn't be there, when there's no school happening. I think we need to somehow maneuver this into a little more than general access rules during normal business hours to after-hours access, because I just think, in my opinion, it needs to be a little formatted differently. Not to mention that I did ask for the school committee to have a full background check, but on this second policy, it's only for general access rules. And I really would like complete the sign-in sheet if provided to be taken out, because there should be a sign-in sheet. If provided, does not need to be there. There should be a sign-in sheet for every person to go into every school. I sign in at every school I go to. And I think everybody should, because you need to know who is in the building at that time in case there's an emergency.
I believe there are instances where if you go in after hours, if you're in at 6, 7 o'clock, I don't believe that every school does have a sign-in sheet
Yeah,
at
through the
that
chair.
time.
I guess I'm not more worried about
No, I
us
understand
at this
that,
point.
but-
Because this building policy takes effect to general access rules, we're pretty much saying, any visitor, come in, enter at the office, complete the sign-in sheet, have a background check, and be escorted. I think there needs to be more now. I think because of what's happening to our teachers and staff, there needs to be more. You can come into our school, but you are going to obey by these rules, especially taking your phone out and taking pictures of other people's children and then posting them on Facebook. That needs to be written in our policy. You can't do that. So I'm just saying that maybe
Yep.
we need to figure out where we're going with this policy and just organize it a little differently. There are rules. There's a state law. We can have people taken off our property. There is a state law that says if you're trespassing and being ignorant, you can leave. I think we need to add that as well.
So the policy committee met today, and there's a separate visitor behavior policy that's been drafted that'll come up for a first read that addresses the behaviors on the school campuses.
Through the chair, just,
Go ahead.
I know that not every school has a sign-in sheet. I know I visited a school recently, and I asked to sign in, and I was told there wasn't one.
What school, if you don't mind?
I'd rather not say.
Well, I'd rather you tell the
Well-
superintendent when we're done, if you don't mind.
I think we can agree that if there is a sign-in sheet, that it should be filled out. Whoever is entering the building, including school committee.
I just have a question.
Go ahead.
Sandy, a question. A lot of our schools, we have the vestibules in them. So when these irate parents come to the building, do we let them go beyond the vestibule? So they're basically contained in there. And I think I mentioned, on Jess's part where, a lot of parents seem to be getting more irate, whatever the issue is, that's their issue. But I would really like to see if we can put some kind of camera in that vestibule and make a policy that that we don't allow people beyond that. Because you're right, Jess, like, I'm wondering, are these parents somehow being let into the building? So I think it'd be a great thing to say if a parent is in the vestibule and and there's a camera there, that will, I think, deter a lot of this, because now it's on the record. If we have to call the police department, now we got a video of exactly what's going on there. So I think there's only a couple of schools left that we don't have a vestibule, but I just want to make sure that we stand to that no public goes beyond them vestibules, during school hours. And if we can research how we could get cameras in them, I think that would be a great start to try to squash some of this harassment, foul language that the staff is being put up with.
So in the most recent incident that we had, the person never made it into the vestibule. They were kept outside because they came to the school irate. So we don't let them in if they're behaving if they're behaving like that. We do have cameras in the vestibules. I believe all of them have cameras in the vestibules. Is that correct, Patrick?
Yeah, so every
Yes.
school has a secure vestibule, but Oldham, I believe.
Right,
And
that's
all
the
of
only
the
one.
secure vestibules have 1 or 2 cameras in them.
So we always do have a record if that takes place, and we've used that in the past with the police department when we've needed to.
And through the chair, there's a camera right outside the door as well. right?
Correct. So if the behavior's already starting outside of the door, they shouldn't be let into the vestibule at all.
And we just call the
We call the
at that point.
police.
Okay. And then just another question, as far as, on the phone, if they use obscene language, are they instructed just to hang up on them?
They are.
Exactly, yep.
If you can ask them once if, I'm speaking to you in a calm tone, I'm asking you to speak to me in a calm tone, or I'm hanging up the phone, and we hang up the phone. And if it's that bad, then you just hang up the phone. I mean, none of our staff should be treated that way.
So after one time we hang the phone, is that,
If somebody's yelling at you on the phone or swearing at you on the phone and you ask them to stop and you let them know, that's usually, typically,
All right.
they'll say, I'm.
just hang up the phone?
It depends. I mean, it
No,
depends on the behavior, right? Like, we understand sometimes parents get upset and they might use language that's not appropriate, and sometimes that simple redirection can calm someone down, and if it can't, then we can't continue the conversation until they're calm. And our staff knows that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Public comment?
Chrissy Rossi?
Is it on? Yes. All right, so thank you, first of all, for allowing me the opportunity to speak. This evening, I'd like to speak on several policies. I'll start with the first one, which is the bullying policy. It's just so vague. It's vague.
Which policy was that?
This one is the bullying policy.
Thank you.
So we tell you what could possibly happen, but we don't direct parents or the students. If you do this, this is going to be your consequence. I would like to see this tightened up a bit more for reasons simply for student A. If we had something a little tighter on that policy that the whoever put that together, I'm not sure who it is, but that policy, if you read it, and I've done it, like I've read this 3 times, you look at this and the only consequence that is literally spelled out is that if you come to something impaired. So if she could have showed up, he, she, whatever it is, the student could show up snot bubbling drunk to any one of our participation events, right? There is a spelled out policy for how that is dealt with. And the max was like 15 days. So for what happened to that kid, I'm disgusted with the policy itself and the discipline that eventually came out of it. Like, you guys could have acted quicker to get in front of this, but you ran out the clock. So now the season ended, and as predicted,
Excuse
the
me
poor
one
kid,
sec. Are you referring to the hearing? Are you speaking on the hearing or the policy itself?
the policy itself,
Okay.
and how,
The code of conduct or the bullying policy?
I'm sorry, so the bullying policy, I was asking to tighten it up. which
Okay.
led me to the next policy, which is...
The code of conduct?
The code of conduct, thank you. Thank you for correcting that. So if we had gotten involved in that for a little quicker, she'd still have an opportunity to have stayed with the team. And I look at this, and you read the policy, yes, the children are all, or conduct, whatever you call it, they're always supposed to present themselves in a good light, right? Not when they're at home. There's nothing in here that says what you do on your own time is going to be, you're going to be charged with this, that, and the other thing. Like I said, the only thing on there is impaired, showing up impaired. So I think it's really unfair that poor kid got bounced. And I'll just leave it at that. But it looks more to me like we were more interested in making an example out of this kid, because even LaSalle didn't have a problem with it. And I'm going to give you guys, we have, our assistant superintendent came to us predisposed, because there's summary judgments of making examples out of children and right in court. I'll give you the paperwork.
Hang on a sec. We're kind of going off the rails here.
Yep.
Let's just stick to the policies,
All right. And I'll
please. Thank you.
drop that later. And the building access policy. I think probably the only thing you missed on here was to write my name in it, because we know why this was written, to help stop me from helping Tony by keeping lists of what's wrong in the buildings. This is my notebook where we started the program. One floor of the high school. I have all of this stuff that's wrong in the high school that was installed improperly. Stuff is already falling apart. We've already lost our warranties. Now we have to pay for repairs. So the policy is whatever it is you guys want to think it is. But you're listing in here state law this, state law that, or you're going to get in, what was the word? Violations of this policy may result in loss of access privileges. By who? The school committee? Because, and I'll also drop this off for you, because I love looking up Title 16. It's one of my favorite pastimes. So on Title 16, we have a number of places that it's written in state law that all of you guys have the same rights and privileges given to you by state law. So you can't just drop a policy down saying, oh, state law says, state law says. Here's one that you really probably want to investigate. It's 16-38-10. Any school receiving aid from the state, either by direct grant or by exemption from taxation, may be visited and examined by the school committee of the city or town in which the school is situated, and by the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education or its duly authorized agents, and by the Commissioner of Elementary and Secondary Education or the Commissioner's duly authorized agents when they shall deem it advisable. You guys have all the rights by state law to handle it. You're not gonna sanction Tony, because he's gonna get his good lawyer and straighten this out. This all started the very first night, and I'll give you copies of all of this. But,
Thank you.
oh, my time is up.
Karen Rebello?
Everyone,
Good evening.
Karen Rebello, 54 Woodland Avenue, taxpayer. Just want to let you know, in case you didn't know me. Also, East Providence preschool principal. So I am here tonight actually to recognize Jess Beauchesne and the RMS PTSA, because this year and last year, she sponsored the Tiny Townies for a raffle. because we're a school that doesn't really have a PTA or any kinds of functions to raise funds. So I needed to make sure that, I didn't do it last year, thought about it every time and forgot, that this year I didn't. Our final one was March 6th or 7th, I think. I can't remember, Saturday, March. And we haven't gotten that donation yet, but I trust her immensely in that PTSA. And I also have to say, it's not just for our school. Even though it's an RMS fundraiser, she has, along with that PTA, been supporting many of the schools in this district. And I think it's very important that our city recognize that and understand that we're one city, Mr. Rodriguez. The other thing I'd like to talk about is just, I know that I had a visit at my school, and I just wanted to take a moment, because I know how important the city is to you, Tony. And our kids did so much work this year for Reading Week. And one of the things that they did, and I'm not sure if you noticed it while you were in the building, but they did this nice theme called, we had a book called Not a Box City. And probably while you're walking through the halls, you might have seen a lot of boxes, like all around the floors. Probably not the like right now, it's just for the kids. So I just wanted to share, because I think it's really important that the academics and the things that our kids are doing in our schools really shine as well. And so I knew that you would appreciate this, because they really did pick some awesome places in our city, some real historic sort of fun things. Only 5 of them are available. I think one's going to probably be your favorite. But I really feel like it's important to recognize all of the hard work that our students are doing as well. So a couple of us came in and read, walked through, and you didn't even get a chance to see this. So I have made a copy for all of you to enjoy. Thank you for having me.
Wait, before you go, I just want to say that I've only been on the school committee a short time, but the most fun I've had was reading to your students and walking through those hallways and seeing all the hard work they put into those projects. If anybody hasn't seen it, I encourage you to check it out, especially the baseball field, which was just phenomenal. I bragged about that, let everyone know that I, as an adult, could not do that baseball field. There's just no way. Just
Yeah.
impressive work done
Anyone
at that
is
school.
welcome as long as they fill out the sign-in sheets and the BCIs.
Correct. Thank you. Just want to recognize Council President Bob Rodriguez for coming out. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Brenda Lister. I'm sorry? Okay. Kim Murato.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I don't really know how to put this into words, so I'm going to speak off the cuff and try not to get emotional about this. I am Kim Murato. I'm a teacher in this district, and I also have children in this district. I feel like the tone lately at some of these meetings has leaned towards the negative. I feel like the tone on social media about our schools is leaning towards the negative. And as a teacher, I'm going to be honest, it's very demoralizing. It makes it really hard when people are constantly tearing schools down and saying negative things about our schools, the teachers, the administrators, even the top administrators in our district. And I am really hoping that we can all come together and work for the betterment of all the kids. I am a very lucky teacher in that whenever I reach out to a parent in the community, they are extremely receptive. I try to do good and, difficult phone calls home. And every parent I deal with, they are concerned, they follow through, Their children tell me they follow through the next day. And if they don't outright tell me, they show me by not speaking to me, which is okay. But I think we have a great community, and I just would really like to see us look at some of the positive things that are going on and really come together for all of the students and the children in this city. And I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Next item.
Discussion items, action items. First up, discussion, RE substitutes. Ms. Bouchane.
Go ahead, Jess.
So we've spoken about this a little bit, and I just want to talk about education. We used to have building-based subs, so I'm hoping that this discussion, after I ask the superintendent and our finance director to look at numbers for next year about putting building-based subs back in each school. I just, the month of March, I was able to get absenteeism, no school, whatever. We had 54 teachers absent on March 3rd. Out of those 54, we had 10 classrooms with no subs. I know that teaching is hard. I know it's very hard to get subs, and our district does an amazing job with getting subs. But when you have 50-plus people, that does not include administration, that does not include custodians. And then we had, including speech, OT, counselors, we had 9 that were not available for students that day and had no subs. Then the paras, we had 13 out and 10 no subs. So this is the most special students with no help, whether that's a one-on-one, whether that is a collaborative classroom, whether that is an inclusion, whatever it so may be, we had 10. So then I picked another day, Thursday the 6th. We had 53 teachers out, 16 with no subs. We had 5 specialists that didn't get subs. And paras, we had 22 out. However, only 4 with no subs. So I'm not sure what we can do about this. I can continue. And then I picked one other day. It's a Tuesday. We only had 28 teachers out and 2 classrooms with no subs. Obviously, it's harder to get subs on Mondays and Fridays, and that seems to be where we have a lot of teachers and paras out. However, that day, we had 12 paras out and 6 with no subs. So split classrooms have to happen at that point, I'm assuming, and split classrooms also cost money because we're going to pay $40 according to the teacher's contract per teacher. So if one teacher takes 10 kids, they get $40. If another teacher takes 10 kids, because they have to do that because they can't have over a certain amount. Then when you have split classrooms, you have kids that are going into classrooms that are not grade appropriate. So not to mention our sub budget is extremely high. I don't have the newest one today, but it is extremely high. It's over what we were last year, and it's over what we predicted it to be. So I'm just thinking the littlest thing we can do at this point is to look at reinstating building-based subs to bring back consistency, predictability. You have to familiarize yourself with schools, and then in turn, maybe those building-based will be able to get hired, as teachers because they know what they're doing, and we know, So on that note, that is what I have to say. So I am going to ask the superintendent during this discussion to work with the finance director to see how much it will be and if it will be a burden to put in the budget next year a building-based sub at every one of our schools, including the pre-K.
So I did that math, and building-based subs, basically, if I just took an average of $150 a day, because it varies based on whether you're a retired teacher or whether it's the first 1 through 30 days, or there's a lot of variables. So based on taking the 180 days times 11 building-based subs at $150 a day, it's almost $400,000 just for those subs. And what happens with building base is it's the same pool of subs that we use as day-to-day subs. They're not in addition to like the subs that we use for day-to-day. And let's say the pre-K had no absences one day. They have a building-based sub assigned to that school. So that teacher is not necessarily covering a classroom, and we might have a classroom at Waddington that doesn't have a sub. And we, when we had the building base, if someone was really in a jam, like, they would send them when they could. But it definitely is a very high cost. And it's nice to have that extra pair of hands in the school. It really is. But it's $400,000 really at a minimum for the year for one building-based sub at each building.
So I just, as a former building-based sub back in 19-something, I was never not needed. They would put me to work. I mean, show me a school this year that has had, actually, with a day that they didn't need something or need somebody. As a building base, then they become a para. They go out for recess. They do lunch duty. They're in the building. They make copies. If for some reason every person is in that building that day, I'm just saying I really think that we need to reconsider it for academics, for education, and for some kind of consistency that we don't seem to be getting. This is the absentees for the month of March.
And we've greatly increased our sub pool this
Yes,
year.
and
Lynn Fontaine has done an amazing job.
has.
She's new to us this year, and she's done an amazing job of recruiting subs, both for paraprofessionals and for teachers. So our fill rates, we have days where, the absences are high, but our fill rates are probably the best they've been in a while.
And I'm not trying to say that that isn't happening, because it is. So we do have great fill rates, but when you have 60 people out in one day, it's extremely difficult to fill that, even with recent retirees. Yep. And I just think as a building base, in my opinion, it should be someone that, is looking to continue their education, their teaching through our school. So
In a lot of ways, that's not typically who is filling the building-based positions. But, I mean, if the committee, if that's what their desire is, I mean, we just need to make sure that in the budget, we find that approximate $400,000 from another line item.
$400,000, you said per school?
No, $400,000 for the year.
400, okay.
For
all right,
one
okay.
building-based for the year at each school. And remember, if you're a building-based, you're automatically assigned to that school. So let's say the pre-K had one, and I'm just using the pre-K, but the pre-K had one teacher absent. Somebody could take that absence, because it's not the building-based's job, right? So someone would fill that pre-K building base, and then, fill the pre-K opening. You would have the building base in pre-K, and you might have Waddington that has 5 teachers out that are uncovered. So instead of leaving those jobs open and allowing that sub to fill in at another school where there truly is an opening, you may have an extra person at one building and you may be 5 short at another. Like I said, it's a big expense to the district. In the past, we used ESSA money to pay for a lot of the substitute line item, and we just don't have that anymore.
Through the chair, in that particular, Dr. Fran, through that particular example, then it wouldn't be a cost saving. It's actually going to cost us more money in that particular situation. Correct?
That's correct.
Also, Jessica, do you have the breakdown of what it was, how many teachers were out for each school? How did that break down? Because these building-based subs, it's only going to be one person per school, so how does that impact that? There's a greater problem.
For the month of March, there were more than one out at every school. I do have the breakdown.
But it's whether or not those were full. I think that's what you have to look at, whether, if one school had 2 or 3 people out, were those positions filled by substitutes that picked up that job?
Through the chair, is that Could we gather that information so that we can better look at this?
Sure.
So, just so I can understand, the $400,000 amount it would cost to have one building-based sub, which is a permanent substitute teacher at the school, that would be able to support the entire school, every teacher, if there's an absent teacher, and, you know, ensure that there's consistency within the whole climate of the school for the students and the teachers. If there's a teacher out at Myron Francis, it's going to cost us the same amount of money for a substitute as it would to pay for the building-based sub, correct?
No, not necessarily, because you may not need that building based on that day, because the building base doesn't fill one of the vacancies unless it doesn't get picked up. So every vacancy may have been picked up that day, and you have an extra sub in the building, and then there may be a sub that's missing from another building. It's the same pool of subs. I don't believe it attracts any different person to that building or more people to the building.
It's the same pool of subs, but it's like it's a permanent person. So it's the same, it's person A is the building-based sub at Myron Francis on the first day of school.
Right.
And is there the entire school year.
But they don't pick up a vacancy. So if Mr.
Through the chair,
Queen.
I have a question about that. So that's where I'm getting confused.
Yep.
Back in that day, I always was the first person to be put in the classroom. We don't
No,
do that anymore?
Well, it doesn't work that way in Frontline. So if Mr. Lewis is the building-based sub for Waddington, he's listed as building-based sub on the attendance, right? And he's just permanent. He's on there every day. And then if Mr. Queenan is absent and Ms. Beauchene picks up that absence and nobody else is absent on that day, then Mr. Lewis is in that building but doesn't have an assignment. Because he
that
doesn't
shouldn't
pick
be-
up the first
With
one.
another substitute there.
With another substitute there that's filling in for the one vacancy in that school.
Why couldn't that permanent sub just fill that absent? Wouldn't that be the whole point of having a building-based sub?
But it's not the way, you can't assign that way in ASOP, to my knowledge, or
Well,
Frontline.
ASOP is what I used to use, and that's what they did. And I don't know how things are in 2020s, but they used to do it where I was put in. Like, you knew you were gonna be out, or whatever, I was the person. We didn't double up. I don't know if that's the secretary did it, I don't know who did it, but that's news to me, so now that you're saying that.
It's not the secretary.
It doesn't, yeah.
It's automatically, and I can print you a sheet for Frontline, and I'll highlight it for you, I'll send it to you, and show you what I mean by, if a person is permanently in the building, what that would look like versus what a vacancy would look like that someone would pick up.
Did you have a follow-up question? No?
Yeah, I was just trying to understand the process. So essentially, if a teacher was absent and the principal was aware of it, they wouldn't just contact the building-based sub to be like, hey, we need you to fill in this second grade classroom, and then we don't post it for the need of a substitute on the portal. We can't do that.
No, because there's nobody that monitors it like all hours of the night, right? Like if I'm sick at 2 in the morning and I put in a sick call at 2 in the morning, the principal's not taking that building-based sub and assigning it. I mean, a sub can pick up a vacancy in any school they want. So typically, I think some subs stay in the same schools for that consistency, but there's nobody that's taking that building-based and dropping them into an open position. They're just permanently assigned to that building, whether or not there's an opening in that building. I mean, chances are, probably, I don't know. We'd have to look at it because there are days when we have very good fill rates, and every position that's open in your school may be filled. Maybe you only have 2 or 3 teachers out and subs picked up every single one of them. You know, I would really have to take a deep dive into the data to give you more information on that. But it can be an additional expense, and it starts out at a minimum of $400,000 before we have any teachers' absence. You know, and again, if the committee wants to do that, we can add that money into the line item. But I look at $400,000 as 3 positions, pretty much. And our building-based subs, do they outweigh the other needs of the district? So I think everything right now, with money the way it is always setting priorities. And that would just be my concern, that we just make sure that if that's what we want. I believe me, if we had the money, I would love to have that consistency in a building every day, and an extra set of hands, because we know we can use them. It's just, does that outweigh some of the other things that we could put that money towards?
I get, Jess, can I ask Jess a
Go-
question?
yeah, go ahead.
Jess, a question for you down there. When you say that we split the class, does that mean a half a class goes into another class? So if this is where this is gonna get a little frustrating for me. So we have a teacher teaching 22, 25 kids in a class. If we have to split a class, those students go into into another class that the teacher gets $40 for. But we could have an additional 10 or 15 kids.
Not that many. I forgot what the cap is that you have to split it at, but there's also a priority list that we look at. So if I picked up a phys ed opening and there's a kindergarten classroom open, we're going to pull that sub from the phys ed and we're going to put that sub in the kindergarten. So we have a priority list of how we fill vacancies within a building. Splitting a class, we don't like to split a class, I mean, if we don't have to, and we definitely don't like splitting the younger grades, so there's an order of how you would handle the vacancy if there was no sub.
Because I agree with Jess, I think, and Jess, I don't think we should kind of wait until even next year on this. I would like to see kind of the information you got saying, when you say we don't split a class, does that mean we split a class once a month, twice a month? It's hard for us to make a decision, because to me, these teachers, they're doing a really good job for the money that they're getting paid, but to say, here's $40 more and put that extra burden, these are professionals. At a certain point, I don't want to get into my personal profession, but I just this week alone, I just pack my tools and leave. As a professional, if somebody's going to make a decision on my behalf and say, I can't afford you're going to do the job, as a professional, I have the right to leave. I don't think our staff has that right. I want them to come to work every day knowing that this body is going to support them in any way we can. And I think it's something that we have to look at, maybe get an attendance record, for the teachers, find out how many times over the next 30 days we split we need more information to say we could be looking at $500,000 to say, okay, what do we do with that next year? I want to support this. I think it needs support, and the big question is going to be, where do we come up with the $400,000? But here's my argument: we have to start meeting with the city and say, here's our evidence, here's our proof that we need more money, because in the last 30 days we had X amount of teachers out. We had to split classes so many times this month. Your whole program. We need to present that to the people that have the money. In other words, we have to start pushing, I don't want to use the word push yet, but we need the evidence to say, this is why we're asking for this money. And Jess, I thank you for that, but I don't think we should even wait into next year, Jess. I think we should look at maybe, a month-to-month basis to see where we're at with this and really push and get it implemented for next month, or budget talks is going to be coming up around the corner. But this isn't something we can talk at a budget meeting for 5 minutes and say yay or nay against it. I think we need a lot of information to make that decision based on, $500,000, $400,000. My only thing is, I think we all know we have a serious money issue, but at what point do we say that's not the excuse to give the kids what they need, or we have to give them more? I'm very concerned about, going forward with the bridge issue, how often, and I'm going to be meeting with Sandy about how many buses we still have late per day. Where are we at with that, to try to get some reimbursement from the state, maybe to, to pay for some of the, everybody's grabbing this bridge money except us. I don't want to beat up on anybody, but there's just a lot of things happening in the city that I see just appeared overnight, because the bridge issue is totally unnecessary. And I'll be the bearer of bad news and tell you, one of them is that we got to push harder. We have a crossing guard at the end of Brightridge Avenue that's been there for 25, 30 years, because the buses used to go down Brightridge Avenue. This is the second year they come out of Martin and take a right, but we still have a bus crossing guard at the end of Brightridge Avenue for what? The neighbors tell me he crosses 1 or 2 people. That's it. He used to stop the buses to let them all flow on there. When the bus schedule changed, he never got it. What do? We put a new guy outside the Teamsters Hall. I lived on Brightridge Avenue since never had a crossing guard there in my life. But we got a crossing guard there now. Where is all this money coming from? We need to fight for this money for our kids.
We have 3 crossing guards at Martin, I believe that's the number. We have 1 where you're referring to, 1 in the center, and then 1 at the very tail end, the opposite side.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how long that's been that way, but I do know that we do have
The one at the
3.
Teamsters Hall is relatively new, I believe.
I think
The
that's
other
the
ones
newest
at the top was due to the traffic patterns, which
Right.
I can accept that to keep the
Yeah.
people from not going. But the one at the Teamsters Hall, it just blows my, everybody's got money for these things, but can't get money for our kids. Somebody's doing a good job per se, whether I think it's necessary or not. Somebody's doing a good job coming up with money to fund these things. I think we need more information so we can work with the superintendent and the city to push for more money for our kids and our staff. I really think we have to start planning that before budget talks. Thank you.
I
Through
mean,
the
I
chair.
agree with everything Tony just said. Obviously, the hangup is the money. You know, my concern would be just like what's getting cut. What would we be cutting? That's my 2 cents, but go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I hear and appreciate a lot of the dialogue being said on this, this discussion, agreeing with a lot of it. And, you know, I would definitely really like to continue this conversation of support for this, you know, based on the fact that having this consistency in our schools, I think, is really healthy for the overall culture and learning environment for our students and teachers. You know, the administration at the school, I think that there's an opportunity to really help support the overall community in each of our school buildings. But I do think it would be, it's important, and Dr. Fran, when you have some time, you know, and I know that we're going to be moving in to start talking more about the budget, but having some information on the process, you know, on how substitute teachers are assigned, I think would be very important, especially for me. That was something that was eye-opening in this discussion, the fact that it's not as clean as, Ryan's calling out sick to work to Supervisor Tony, and now Tony's pulling the levers on how to, you know, replace Ryan for the workday. From what I'm gathering, it's the systems, I just need to be cleared up. So, you know, when you have some time, if you can kind of maybe find some of those practices and systems and share them so we can further the conversation, because, yeah, I think $400,000 is a lot of money when we're looking at a tight budget, but also I think it's important money that affects, you know, the overall universe of our school district, right? Being like teachers, students, classrooms, you know, administrators, and I think it could be a really positive opportunity for that. But so anyways, Dr. Fran, I would appreciate when you have some time if you can kind of just find how those practices and systems work in terms of assigning substitutes, because I do hear you. If you have a building-based sub and there's one teacher out on a Tuesday, and all of a sudden we go out to bid for a substitute that comes out of nowhere, and now you have a permanent, what's the point of having a permanent-based sub if they're not being utilized in that function? Now, if it's, you know, you have 3 teachers out in a school and the permanent-based sub is in for 1, yes, you have to go. That's how I was thinking the system went. So, you know, would appreciate that more information.
Through the chair, just a question. Did we see the fill rates go up? Was it the compensation increase slightly? Did that have any impact on fill rates? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, the compensation, the only compensation went up was that first 30 days because, yeah, it wasn't, we did an increase in compensation, I think it was 2 years ago.
It was only for the first 30
Yeah, it
days.
was,
I didn't-
yeah, we were under minimum wage.
Next item.
Update on special education audit.
Because she's not here, do you want to just, I mean, because I got questions.
Okay,
and-
I'm going to give you, this is the overview of where we've been with the special ed
Okay.
audit. We've done a lot of work. We had a meeting today of the special ed audit committee. We would like to do a presentation. We're wrapping up one of the buckets of work. And, I mean, I don't know if you want to wait for the presentation or if you have questions. I mean, basically, since the audit, we've met in a large committee. We split into 4 separate work groups. Our priorities were MTSS, which we have 2 district committees, academic and social emotional, that are working on the MTSS process. We have a placement framework for students, so screening students to make sure that we're assigning them to the right placement going forward. One of the other priorities that came out of the audit was high-quality inclusion, which we're working on, and then really purposeful collaboration. So those were the 4 big buckets of work that we have been working on this year. So today, I was at the policy meeting, so I wasn't able to go to the special ed audit meeting, but they went over some of the, structures, the framework of the new placements. So, I mean, I think it might be helpful if we just do the presentation for you as to where we are, where we've been, and where we're going. But this gives you a little bit of a background. But we've met with the subcommittees. So the big committee got back together today, but there's been work in between with the subcommittees.
So again, the audit came, we paid for it, the school committee voted for it. But I feel like every time we sit here and discuss it, we've always promised that we would get parents involved at some point, and we have yet to do that, so I really would like to know when that's going to happen. Because this has been, 2 years almost?
It's done last
Yeah.
year.
So, and yet, we did, not only during EPLAC meetings, the special ed director said at some point we would get parents involved, and we haven't, and even here in public, it's been talked about. And I think parents, we saw the audit, there is a need to get EPLAC involved or parents involved in this, and I'm just trying to figure out where that's going to be. I thought that maybe the smaller groups, which I was not invited to be part of, would have the parents, or a small group would have the parents. Again, we can wait and wait till she gets here, and we'll talk about it. Maybe both of them could come.
Is that something that we could have,
Yeah.
Dr. Fran?
Yeah, we
Both of
plan
them?
on doing a presentation of the work that's been done to date, and we do want to engage parents. But the priorities that were defined by the group are, it's technical work regarding MTSS that's been done by the district as a whole. I think we probably have 60 staff members on the 2 committees. And then the placement framework is specific to defining our self-contained programs and creating a screening tool. And I do know there were other priorities, looking at EPLAC that involved parents, and I think that's where we start to engage a parent committee. We just haven't started that particular work. We've been working through the recommendations of the audit.
Any other questions? Next item.
So I did reach out to the superintendent about the food bank. Just because the price of food has gone up, we've seen an increase, fruits and vegetable funding we may lose. So I've asked about the food bank, and if possible, we can look into opening it up so parents don't have to sign up ahead of time. If they're just in need on a specific week, they can go and get it, because signing up, some people that I've spoken to would rather not have a name. They just, they're out on TDI, they're injured or something like that, and they just had a really bad week, and they'd rather just go in, so I've asked her to discuss it tonight.
Yeah, so our food pantry, and we're really proud of this work. We opened the food pantry 2 years ago. Right now, we're feeding between 90 and 120 families every 2 weeks. And again, it's supplemental. You know, we provide a bag of food. We also have a partnership. The Career and Tech Center will we'll get fresh produce, and the Career and Tech Center will cook things for us and freeze them, and we send those home to families. So it might be mashed potatoes that they make, or it might be, you know, squash, or they'll prepare the food, so a family will get whatever that prepared food is. So that's been a great partnership with the Career and Tech program, the culinary program. So typically what happens, families let us know that they need support. We send those bags out on a Friday morning every 2 weeks to the schools, and then parents either pick them up or students take them home. If a family is in need, they can call Stacy Messier, and Stacy will meet them and provide what they need. So even though we don't have open hours, because it's hard, you know, the people that are running the pantry also have positions that they're involved in, so they might not be in the building. A phone call, you know, and they'll set up a time when a parent can come in to get something.
So just assume I'm a parent at Waddington of a kindergartner. How would I get Stacy Messier's phone number?
It's in every single parent newsletter every month.
Okay.
We also have, like, they can access it through, if they want to go through the school social worker, or, and that's, I think, typically how we get a lot of the referrals. The social workers or the principal, you know, will know that a family is in need, and they'll refer them. But
Again, I'm
but
only
they
going to
can call
say, my
administration.
children would never know we were in need, because
Right.
I would never make it look like we were in need.
No,
I
and
wouldn't
that's
do
why
it.
we send
So
it every month in the
My
newsletter.
thing, okay.
And then, like I said, they call administration, any office, and we'll put them where they need to go, and then we'll work with them. We've had families that have come in. We'll never turn anyone away. I mean, we're here to support.
We can't try to find volunteers. I mean, I volunteered myself every Saturday since October. So we couldn't find volunteers to open up on a Saturday from 11 to 2 or something like that. Like this weekend, I dropped my daughter off at lacrosse here, and there was something going on at administration building. I don't know what was, but little kids were walking in. So, I mean, the building was open. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to think ahead. Maybe not this month and next month, but I'm thinking ahead that we may need, some more parents might need some stuff.
Right.
And, I mean, heck, I got a volunteer already that would help volunteer with me. I saw his hand up. So, I'm just saying, maybe we can look into it, or?
We can look into it. We have had open hours in the past, and we haven't found that we've gotten families that way typically, but.
It's a different world now.
Yep,
a
and
different
I mean, I think we probably need some additional support with supplying the food pantry. You know, we get bi-weekly or weekly deliveries from We Share Hope, bi-weekly. And then, you know, we also have a grant from Stop and Shop for $15,000 each year that we use to supplement. And then we'll do food drives occasionally at the schools, and that's where we get some of our, the food that we give out. So I think if we were to open up more hours, we might need some additional support too for the food pantry. We also are speaking with a community organization next week that is interested in helping to support over the summer. So, because we don't get deliveries over the summer.
I think having volunteers is an excellent idea. I'm certainly supportive of having that pantry open a few hours, whichever day, especially a Saturday. I think that would be extremely beneficial. Certainly worth a conversation going forward. Does anyone else have any questions? Tony? Thank you. Next item.
Establishing hours for track and tennis courts, Ms. Bouchane.
Man, I'm on fire tonight. So someone told me last year, the year before, if I wanted it done, put it on the agenda. Sandy. I really am tired of driving my daughter to Barrington to play on the tennis courts when she is an East Providence High School tennis player. That's it. That's it. I think that we promised the people the tennis courts, we promised the people the outdoor track. I am well aware of what's going to happen if we open it up to the public. We're going to have litter. We're going to have trash. We're going to get these signs that say, do not litter. Barrington has the signs on theirs. We'll put trash cans. We'll ask our maintenance people, hopefully, to empty the trash. We're putting a brand-new bathroom in the baseball field. So I just think we need to figure out what hours we can open this when it's not being used by our own students, so that people can come and walk our track in the evening, especially with the summer months coming, and the tennis courts. And I know that the boys are practicing pretty late on the tennis courts, but I just think that it's time that we open those up. So again, this is just a discussion, but I'm hoping to, if we need to make this an action item to do this, I would like to, but again, I know that it's going to happen with the trash, so then we lock it again. Like, I understand that, but I really would like to see it open.
So the track is currently open during the school year till 11 p.m. It gets locked up at 11 p.m. During the summer, we open the track and the tennis courts from 6:30 to 3 o'clock when we have staff on. Our maintenance and custodians go home at 3 o'clock, so we don't have anyone after that to secure the tennis courts at night. I'm open to suggestions if the committee wants us to leave them unlocked all night. Otherwise, we would have to pay someone overtime to come in and lock the courts every night. We would also have to take care of the lights every night if we want to light them during the summer. I mean, they are open all day long from, like I said, 6:30 to 3. A lot of times during the summer when I come in the morning, we have people out on the courts, early. But I'm open to suggestions. We don't have staff to lock them up during the summer. We do leave it open. Like I said, the track's open till 11 o'clock during the school year when we have staff on that can secure it at the end of the night. And the tennis courts, it's really hard in the spring. Like you said, there's boys tennis that has the courts, so.
Yeah, Jess is right. When this high school came up, let's face it, we were told that the public would have access to it. The community would have access to the tennis courts, to the track, and I understand you said that they do. I just think that they deserve the benefit of the doubt, right? If vandalism happens, if trash is, if it's constantly getting trashed, to Jess's point, then we lock it back up. But I think they deserve the benefit of the doubt going forward. It's not on us to be presumptive to say, oh yeah, we're guaranteed vandalism. Will it happen? Sure, it's a possibility, but like I said, this was something that was sold to us. We were told that the public, the community would have access to these facilities, so. And I understand staffing as an issue. Maybe we could coordinate with the city and see if we have somebody that's able to, that we trust that could lock up for us at certain times. That's just my take on that.
I have a comment on that, and Dave, you were right on when we promised that. When this high school was built, the taxpayers were promised a lot of things. Some of the most important things were the rest of the high school was going to be sealed off to the indoor track, where it'd be open for senior citizens to walk on it. It would be open on the weekends, like we have events here. That was a smoke and mirror show. All these things were supposed to be open to the public. The public came up to the plate. They hit a home run and gave us permission to build almost a $200 million facility that's been locked down from the public. So I would support opening them up. The only thing, I got a question for Jess. When you go to Barrington, Jess, how does that work? Are their courts open?
So the Barrington High School courts are open and Barrington Middle School courts are open. They are not locked. You go, they do have signs that say, if you trash it, we're going to have to close it up. They have lights. So Sydney plays till 10:30 at night some nights. I don't know when the lights go off. I have no idea. But they're open and their basketball court's open. So you just go. And we've gone a couple times where I've picked up some trash, thrown it in the trash. But Barrington High School, I've not seen any trash there, but it's all open.
No, and I'm going to support, if we have to make a motion, to open this facility up like it was told to the taxpayers. And I want to believe, you know, we still live in a good city. Every city has issues. I'm just hoping that we don't have, you know, issues with trash and stuff like that. But I'll be totally honest with you, me with my camera, I just happen to drive through, I drive through all our schools. It's part of what I do. It's part of my pet peeve in life. But I got pictures in my phone now of trash cans out at these areas that are full on a Sunday afternoon. So my question is, if they're not being dumped during the week, and they're full on the weekend, and they're not being used, right, so we have to do a little more, you know, cleanliness of outside of the buildings, but this facility has to be open. We have a good community. It was a couple years ago, I went to Rhode Island Hospital to see a friend, and there was actually the reception at the desk. Her daughter was on the tennis team, and I got, Mr. Ferrer, why do I got to bring my daughter to Pawtucket? So I think it's time that we turn it into an action item, we vote on it. It has to take a vote of the school committee, but I would support opening this facility up to the public. The public owns it, the public pays for it. We have kids on our tennis team that can't use it, and anything we can do to keep the kids off the street and keep them out of trouble, I'm all for. I'm a firm believer of that. Rhode Island, we spend well over $120,000, $130,000 to incarcerate somebody. We get $20,000 to educate somebody. So maybe if we can keep people out of the ACI and keep them on our facilities and change some of them, they don't go down that path. So I would support opening this facility up to the taxpayers and the families of this city.
Any other questions?
One question. Sandy, appreciate the details of the current schedule. Two parts. One, I just want to confirm, currently, the outdoor track is open up to 11 p.m. every night.
Correct.
And that will go all the way through 365 days a year.
No, so that goes until the end of school,
Yep.
and then the hours for the custodians change. So once the hours for the custodians change, they go from, I believe, 6:30 to 3, then they lock the track before they leave.
And when the hours change for the custodians, the tennis courts then open 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. as well.
Correct.
Right now, the tennis courts are not open at all.
They're not really accessible because we have tennis on those courts.
Right. They were playing while we drove in this evening.
Correct. So typically, I mean, they're there.
He's late.
Yeah, I don't know what time they're there till. They're there most of the time when I'm, you know,
Were the tennis courts open last summer from 6:30?
6:30 to 3.
And the summer before that,
I-
last summer was the first summer. We had this conversation a year ago, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they were open 6:30 to 3 before that, too.
How do we market this out? Like, is the community aware of that? Do we have any signage hanging anywhere, or it's something that we haven't necessarily pushed out to the community to welcome them to come and use the facilities?
Yeah, I don't
like
think-
during those hours in the summer.
No, I mean, Sharon has the hours listed when she gets the calls to let people know, but, I mean, if somebody calls, we let them know they are open. I mean, like I said, a lot of days when I come in during the summer, we have
Yeah.
people on them in the morning.
And then on weekends,
There are no weekend hours right now because,
no
again,
access to both of those areas in the.
no, they're secured over the weekend because
Are
we
they
don't
being
have
utilized by
staff
our
on.
students?
Not
the
over the,
weekend?
well, I don't, tennis, do they practice on the, I'm not really sure if the sports teams are practicing on the weekend, like, we may have a track meet
Sure.
or track practice
Right.
on the weekend.
Not on a
but
consistent basis. Depending on the season.
Yeah, depending on the season, depending on the team. I mean, I know for a fact basketball's in here on the weekends. I know wrestling's here on the weekends. I'm not sure about tennis.
And then, do we have custodial support here on the weekends?
No, typically not unless there's an outside activity here.
So there's no East Providence School District employees that are on the campus during the weekend to be able to do like this 6:30 to 3 o'clock open and shut.
There are not for that reason. Like you said, if we have a rental or something, or we have maybe like a school-sponsored activity.
Nothing on a
but
consistent basis.
Nothing on a consistent basis. In summer, we don't have a lot of rentals usually.
No, I would be curious, and I think that, potential other conversations could be had with, the city council, or perhaps the mayor, or perhaps the Parks and Recreation Department for the city of East Providence, because it almost seems like we would just need support of someone coming here and unlocking the door, and then on like a timed schedule, coming back and just locking it at night. Even if it was to start with a 6:30 to 3 to keep it consistent, or in the summer stretch out to 5, 6, or 7 p.m. In my opinion, I think that would be very doable. I do think that it is something that we would need the support, because there's a monetary factor to that, and it would be really challenging to just kind of put that onto a group of volunteers, or asking, our staff, especially during summertime, when it's a slower, season for our educators to take that weight on. I think there's an opportunity for, reaching out to the city for that type of support. Because in that case, in my mind, if we were able to have somebody who was able to, we would trust in opening and shutting, I wouldn't see what the problem would be. Especially
have
during the
mentioned
weekend when
that
I
to
think
the
the
mayor
community would
in the
use it
past.
most.
That if he has Parks and Recreation staff that
Yeah.
works later, that, we'd be willing to.
I've had that conversation, so that's
And
something that
what-
we can explore.
Oh, great.
Any other questions? Hearing none, next item.
Consider a vote to approve building access policy, second read.
So before we get into that, I just want to make a brief statement. In regards to the visitor access policy, I feel compelled to share that I've received correspondence from many members of our community, especially today, who are in support of this policy. I've also heard loud and clear from many community members that there is a high level of concern and discomfort with regards to the Facebook Live videos that are taking place. I know for sure that this policy is an important one to ensure that we are protecting our staff and students. The amount of emails, text messages, phone calls received today, I'm speaking for myself, I don't know about the rest of it, was overwhelming with regards to this policy. So I just wanted to share that with the public and my fellow colleagues here on the committee. With that said, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the building access policy.
And, Mr. Chairman, I just got a statement.
Go ahead.
Oh, yes, regarding, as I received the same emails too, regarding everybody wants to sit here and talk about security of the building. I stated I wouldn't say it, but the 5 of us sitting up here, seeing some of the situations that we have regarding security in 2 of the schools so far. I am trying to meet, because like I said, one way or another, I'm going to continue to do my job. I'm going to try to meet with the colonel of the state police next week to try to let him review some of these videos, and because I want it stopped. I don't want to sit here and publicly state what I'm talking about, but it's more of people who are involved with this situation, not what is getting done. So I'm not a politician by my nature. I am, I guess, by the badge sitting in front of me and stuff like that. But there are issues with our buildings. We're making progress. But what I get offended by is a handful of people that look at it as a political stunt. And so like I said before, I stated at the last meeting, I will go outside the entity. I can say this. If people have an issue with me taking pictures of ventilation system and stuff that are totally disgusted, and they feel comfortable sending their kids into these buildings and stuff, that's fine. I'm also meeting with the health department next week to go over that. So in other words, if the public has an issue with how I accomplish my job, I don't apologize how I accomplish my job. I just say to myself, the first thing that I get up every day is make sure these kids are safe. Second, that includes our staff. Second is they come to a clean, safe, and learning environment. How I get it done is how I get it done. Because like I said, this committee, and I want to thank this committee for opening the door as far as it did open the door here. I wish they didn't even want to close the door. But I sat on this committee for 2 years last year, and we weren't even allowed to look at a building without calling on the phone, being treated like a baby and stuff like that. I sat there for 2 years, and we made great strides, you know, to open up the door somewhat. But it's not nothing to do with security from how I do it or who's outside the building. There are bigger security issues, and I send all these videos to this committee, and it's just amazing that we had an executive session tonight, and none of it was put on executive session to discuss it. So if that's how this committee wants to operate, then I'll take it to the next level.
Through the chair for a minute.
Go ahead.
Tony, did you ask for something on the agenda and not get it on the agenda tonight?
No, I get 100%.
Okay, so the executive session about security, you didn't ask for it tonight?
No.
Okay.
I did not ask, and nobody else asked about it too, and we all seen the situations that were dealt with.
Tony, I think you've probably forgotten more about construction, maintenance, et cetera, than most everybody in this building will ever know. If you need assistance, you have 4 duly elected officials right here. Why not just reach out to one of us? I'd be more than happy to go through a building and take notes for you. I think most of us would, providing we have the time and advance notice.
I agree. I don't have a problem going through the bit, but that was, that was, well, we're gonna call a spade then. We all discussed that before the election and stuff, and nobody's ever reached out to me. So let's call a spade a spade. Let's call a spade a spade.
No problem. I'm just stating that if you need assistance, then one of us would absolutely go through the school with you.
No, I appreciate that. I would like to go for a tour. Like I said, the main thing that I look at is door security, ventilation systems now, ceiling tiles that don't fall on a kid. So I mean, I would welcome, you know, go with a school committee member and stuff like that. I have no issue with that.
So, through the chair, sorry.
Go ahead.
We have a facilities committee. Maybe that's what the facilities committee could start to do. And Sharon, please don't get upset with me. We do have an administrative assistant that could go along, that does work for, that does work for us, who writes really, really fast. I'm just saying that because I was used to go around with Tony a lot, and so I just wanted to give that notion. Maybe
Right,
that's
but
the
Tony,
time.
I don't want to speak for you, but I believe it's your common policy not to go through schools during the day when education.
Will not do it, never
Right.
did it, will not do it. Absolutely, I don't believe in it. It's,
No, that was a rhetorical
At that
question.
point,
I
it's
knew
an
the answer.
education system. But just to follow up, I'll backtrack it just a little bit so we understand what my goal was to do here, change it a little bit. Years back, we did have a team that went through it. It was me, God rest his soul, Peter Barillo, Tony Fioli, Sandy went through the walks, Crowley went through the walk. Sharon was our secretary at the COP, with the COP. We went through each classroom. I think we only did 7 of them at the time. Things happened, but it was a very successful program that we did. We them 7 buildings or so, we changed over 1,000 ceiling tiles. We really were doing some great things. We brought outside companies in to clean ventilation systems. Our guys were doing them. I feel that we have people, we have a facilities director that should be overseeing this already. I just don't feel comfortable saying to the superintendent now, to Sharon now, and get back into that. I wanted to do it on a volunteer basis, put a package together school by school, bring it to the school committee, bring it to our construction meetings, put dollar amounts on it, put schedules on it with Danny, similar to what we did before, and it became a public politic issue, and it got shot down. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it myself. I'm very comfortable doing it, and the end results are going to be the same. But like I said, I don't think anybody sitting up here knows if the situations that I brought to light have even been addressed yet. So like I said, if this is the way we want to go with this, by the way, I have state law supporting me, but I won't go as far as that. But if I am pushed that far, I will go that far. But there should never be a need to push a school committee member to that level based on the pictures and videos that I sent this committee over the last 2 visits I went to a school. And that's all I got to say on that. I will not be supporting this. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to approve building access policy.
I'll make that motion to approve policy.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Before we do that, can we please move the background check to the school committee members? I have suggested it, but if this goes for second passage without moving that, then that doesn't exist.
We will. We can add that.
Can you please make sure?
Yep.
Yeah, it just is under general access rule if you're unsupervised, but I want it that school committee members must have a background check because when they walk through schools, they are not fully supervised. Whether that's before, after, during.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it. Next item.
Consider a vote to uphold superintendent's decision for student discipline.
I'll I'll accept a motion to uphold the superintendent's decision for student discipline.
So I do want to just make a quick comment that it takes a lot of courage for a parent and a student to come and request public session. Unfortunately, this is this far down on the agenda. So, that takes a lot of courage and it shows a lot of character. However, in this circumstance, I make a motion to uphold the superintendent's decision.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Can
All-
can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So the code of conduct the code of conduct, which was written by whomever, which I'm assuming Mr. Black and the athletic director, I just want to make 2 notes. Because tonight it was said that maybe some of it is not in here, but one of the things is to provide a positive image of school athletics at East Providence High School. And the other one that's in here, accept and understand the seriousness of their responsibility and their privilege of representing their school and community. So once you're an athlete, you have to sign off on this, and it says it right there. You have to, the seriousness of their responsibility and privilege of representing the school. So wherever you go, you represent the school. I also commend the parent and person A for coming here tonight. But it does, you sign this, and I hope people read it in its entirety, because there is stuff on here that if you don't know, you may just, it's okay to do. So again, anybody who's out there, please read the code of conduct, so that your decisions outside of the classroom do matter. You representing a townie, whether you're at the store, whether you're at another school, but if you're an athlete, it does say it. So I just wanted to make that known today.
And through the chair, if I could just add that, I know that, from my perspective, it's important that this policy is consistently implemented, and I know that it is because they didn't mention it tonight, but I know there was an incident last fall that, that occurred, and unfortunately, there was a disciplinary action as a result, but that's all I wanted to add.
I believe Ryan made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it. Next item.
Consider a vote to approve proposed certified employee resignation.
I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. So, yep. Next item.
Consider a vote to approve RFP for electrical services, steel-framed building.
I'll consider a motion.
Can I just make a statement?
Yes.
I have some questions on this, so is there any way that we could push this off to the next meeting? Because this is one of the questions or statements or comments that I thought we were going to try to avoid. First, this is probably an ongoing situation for about 2 years, this metal building, but we're going to end up sending out the RFP on the 28th, which is Friday, but, so we only got from now into then to approve this, but I got some questions based on just a little background on this where I get totally confused, which is easy when I deal with some people in this district. But this conversation started over 2 years with the metal building. We're just now going out for an RFP. It was discussed about 3 months ago at the building committee where this project was started at $125,000. It grew to $150,000. At that point, it was questioned at a building committee about the electrical. It was supposed to be included with the 150. Some people on the building committee didn't see how that could be. It got bumped up to 200,000. Then somebody on the building committee said if it goes beyond 200,000, we can take the money from capital improvement, which I'm totally against per se. But how can we be this far into a project where we already approved 138,000, I think, for the cement slab? I believe we already paid for the building. The building should be arriving, or if it is already here, shortly. And we're going out for an RFP to do the electrical. And the big question I have here is in the specs, it has everything in there, but we are not allowed to, or we're not allowed, there's not enough power in the concession stand to pull the power from the concession stand over to that metal building. So the other contractor for $30,000, which was, thought he had the job for the last year and a half, was gonna pull it from a light pole, but there's nothing in there saying where we're gonna jack a 200 amp service from. So I'm very concerned when we send in an RFP and somebody awards this bid and they come back and say, well, I thought we were gonna be able to pull it from the concession stand 40, 50 feet away. Well, that's not happening. We're gonna pull it 200 feet from a pole and it's gonna be an underground service so we don't chop up the driveway and all our brand new sidewalks. So I would like somebody to fill me in on this. Because this is where we just sit here and spend taxpayers' money with no accountability. So I'm not going to support this RFP going out until we get these answers. Because this RFP should have, I appreciate, because for the longest time, we weren't going to put no lights in the building, then I questioned how are we going to see in a 48-foot building with no lights in it, and now we got lights outside the garage doors, so the electrical is still working, but as far as I'm concerned, this is supposed to fall under a $30,000 situation. So if this RFP comes into $50,000, $60,000 because another company may get it, where does the money come from? I think we all supported $125,000, well, I'm sorry, from the old committee, $125,000 from the capital improvement money, which was left over from the high school. We almost exceeded that by another $100,000. I think we all supported that when we bought the metal building and stuff. But when is enough of taking capital improvement money for projects that are mismanaged from day one? So that's what I got to say on that. I just hope we can postpone this to the next meeting to get some of these answers.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a valuable statement, Tony, to make. And due to not having those figures, and if there is concerns coming from the building committee that the project is going to be different in terms of both scope of work and price point, I would make a motion to table this agenda item until our next meeting and request that we can have Danny to be able to go over what those specifics are before we make a motion to put this RFP out.
And the reason that I feel that it's important, Ryan, just based on what you said, the whole project was supposed to be done at $125,000, or even call it $150,000, for an argument's sake. We spent over $138,000 or $139,000 just for the cement slab. I think the building, we approved the building at $23,000 or something like that. So this project keeps climbing, but when it was put in front of the committee, it was at 125, grew to 150, then it grew to 200,000, because we got $3.4 million, hopefully with some interest. Everybody thinks they're gonna jack that capital improvement money. It's gonna get jacked with the voted 5 members here. So that's just my opinion on that. Thank you.
I'll second that motion to table this.
We have a motion made by Mr. Queenan, seconded by Mr. DeSimus to table this until the next meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Does anyone have any announcements?
Quick follow-up announcement. From 2 weeks
Yes.
ago, I made an announcement to the public to just celebrate the students in our district for at the Weaver Library running through the end of the month is a public gallery display where the art teachers throughout the district selected one student to represent each grade group in each school. I was in attendance the night, the opening night. A couple other fellow committee members were also there. A lot of members from the public were there. And so I just wanted to, there's some really fantastic pieces of artwork. I mean, kindergartners all the way up to 12th graders, some really, really great stuff. It's a really great opportunity to celebrate some of the highlights in the district. So I just wanted to kind of give that one more plug while it's still running throughout the rest of the month. You know, and hats off to those, the young artists in East Providence.
That was an incredible show. I really enjoyed myself there. Any other announcements? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.